Hello, this is WBA Executive Director Brad Boyks coming at you today with another edition of the Blueprint. Today I want to focus on the state budget that was recently signed into law. July 3rd, Governor Evers announced that he would be signing the budget into law. He said in his statement of that document that he, quote, seriously considered vetoing the legislature's entire budget, end of quote. Ultimately, he decided against that and went with 78 partial vetoes. In his veto message, he went on to say, quote, vetoing this budget in its entirety would have been more of the same divisiveness and petty political theatrics that the people of Wisconsin have had to put up with for far too long, end of quote. So he went on to explain some of those vetoes, and also I'll just want to run down some of the issues that we've been tracking since the start of the budget deliberations. As we had mentioned earlier, there was no changes to Wisconsin's TIF laws, no changes for additional flexibilities for municipalities to exceed the revenue caps, no changes to prevailing wage laws when dealing with developer-financed infrastructure. So those were no change. Those were deleted in the finance version of the budget and not changed in the governor's veto. The finance committee did delete a provision that we were supportive of dealing with first-time homebuyer savings accounts. That lives to go on as a standalone bill. That was not changed in the governor's vetoes that were announced last week. Additionally, we were advocating for some more funds for the Department of Safety and Professional Services. The ultimate budget did have $5 million for additional funding to update and streamline the credentialing approval process. And again, we were supportive of language similar to that in the governor's initial budget and are happy to see that that provision remain in the veto or the budget that was signed into law. A couple of other things: we had advocated against targeting or the 27% increase on heavy trucks. The Finance Committee changed that provision. Ultimately, the governor's veto changed that back, where DOT will have the ability to charge greater fees for heavy trucks. So we were disappointed on that change. Also, one provision, there was a deletion. The Finance Committee had added a provision to lapse $5 million from the DSPS Safety and Buildings Fund. This was an unfortunate common practice with Republican and Democrat majorities in the legislature and governors, and Governor Evers vetoed that provision for those funds to stay in that segregated fund. So that was something that came out in the vetoes as well, that we generally are supportive of those dollars staying in that fund. So a few other highlights of the ultimate budget that was signed into law: $518 middle class tax cut, $570 million more for K through 12 education, and an additional $465 million in additional funds for roads in Wisconsin. So those were additional things that were highlighted by both sides in that ultimate budget that was signed again last week. In that final document that Governor Evers had talking about his priorities, some things that he had mentioned outside of now the budget, Medicaid expansion being another one of his priorities, was not addressed in the budget, but he will continue to talk about that. And also he has said that nonpartisan redistricting is another one of his priorities moving forward this session. Both of those issues, a tough sale with the Republican majority, but he said that that is something, those are two issues that he specifically mentioned that he wants to continue to advocate for the remainder of the session. So that is your budget update. Also wanted to mention last week, Wednesday, a summary of our member meeting day was sent to everyone, so that should be in your inbox. If you haven't had a chance to review that, if you have any questions, please let me know. But that's one more summary that again was sent out last week to talk about the highlights of our group meetings and our board meetings that happened a couple of weeks ago. So again, thank you for your membership. Thank you for watching this update. We hope it's a good way for you to get quick information, and please let me know if you have any questions on the content here or the email that was sent last week, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you.